Hello and welcome to the Holy Hour Podcast, the bi-weekly all-cure podcast. I'm Gavin and hope you all are doing well out there. What an excellent show this is going to be. I'm so excited to bring this one to you guys. We are very happy to welcome back to the show Mike from House of Harm, an excellent band that you should be familiar with by now. The band just wrapped up a run of shows all through October. Mike was hitting the road hard, playing wonderful shows for the good people out there, and then immediately flew over to Europe to catch 5 shows of the Lost World Tour, and he was kind enough to come talk to Antonio and myself and to share his experiences of what those shows were like. So, we didn't waste any time diving in. That's why I'm tagging this little extra fake intro on here. So I'm not going to waste any more time, and let's dive into the conversation. We welcome back to the show, Mike from House of Harm.
I was on the road from October 15th, and then I got home on November 1st, and then I flew back out on November 4th. But in those 3 days, I moved.
Oh, wow.
So I didn't really move. I just got all my shit here, and I just got home last night at midnight.
Oh my god! Yeah, he was all over the covering some territory.
Have you slept at all, or?
Kind of. It's weird. Like I was saying before, it was like before I left, I was going to bed at maybe 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning every day, and waking up at noontime. And then when I went over there, I don't know. I fucked up my sleep schedule to the point where I'm naturally waking up at 7 now, which is kind of normal for people. So I'm just kind of riding it out. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Right on. Yeah.
But anyway, how have you all been?
Oh, doing good, man. Yeah, so good to have you on. Thanks for taking the time and sharing your stories with us. But yeah, we've been just chugging along and watching all the madness from afar. It seems like it's been pretty crazy, but yeah.
Yeah, it's these shows honestly have been fucking unbelievable.
Awesome.
It's been really, really, really fucking amazing.
Cool.
But yeah, so I started off, I did 5 shows. I did Geneva, Lyon, Montpellier, Barcelona, and then ended with Madrid.
Okay.
Nice. I think out of those shows, I think my favorite one was Montpellier and also Madrid, for various reasons. But just talking about the set and the band itself, or the band themselves, is I think Montpellier was the best one.
Right on.
It was just a certain energy about him. It was fucking really good. The crowd was insane.
Well, yeah. Would you say the crowd was definitely playing into kind of what made some of those shows better than the others? Like, were there nights that they were good, but the crowd was lame, so it felt weird, or was there just high energy the whole time?
A little bit. It was like Geneva was kind of probably the most laid back.
Yeah.
It was the first show that we went to. So my dad and I traveled to, we went to the first 4 shows together. And then after Barcelona, he flew home, and then I went to Madrid, and I met 7 of my friends there from
Nice.
Boston, and we all went to that show together, and then hung out in Madrid for a few days. But I think the crowd, they're probably the most tame, I guess you would say. I mean, it was still good, but the most tame was probably Geneva, the first one. They're a bit more reserved. There was still a lot of them, but they were just more reserved, I guess.
Yeah.
And I think the Montpellier fans are probably the best.
Awesome. Yeah, just looking at, I've been staring down the set list kind of thing, and especially when I looked at, I wasn't sure what your first one was, so the Geneva show, but just seeing that run of shows really gave you the full kind of sampling of all the cool interchangeable ones. It seems like you really caught a good wide range of some of the ones they only play like maybe once out of those four, but then you would get a different one here or there. So,
Yeah, I think so too.
yeah, so you feel pretty good about everything that you've seen that they've played, and you got to cover a good chunk of them pretty much.
Yeah, I was I mean, Faith was number one. I want to hear Faith, and they
Yeah.
played it on the last night, which was
Okay.
kind of bittersweet for me because my dad had flown home the day before, and I
Uh,
knew there. And as soon as like right before they're gonna go into it, I mean, I could hear the reverse symbol that was coming, and I was
yeah.
like, "Fuck, they're doing Faith right now." So it was on.
You're
It
like, oh,
was
my dad's gonna miss it.
yeah, it was bittersweet for that reason. So I was a little bit bummed. I wish they had played it the night before in Barcelona. Um, but yeah, I think the sets. I mean, for this is like when you're reading it, obviously the set list every day, checking
Yeah.
in and stuff. It's one thing, but actually experiencing it, it was kind of another, and put it in a different perspective, obviously. But it was like
Yeah.
the main set was like full on just fucking doom and gloom. It was fucking amazing. And the way they rode that to the end and then ended with the pop hits, it worked out really, really, really well. I think it's
Cool.
like the best curated set list from a fan perspective that I've seen. Not so much just for the songs, but just the way it felt. It was
Yeah.
just really gloomy. And I think my biggest concern was Plain Song was always my favorite opener, just because I like to see Robert walk around and stuff, and it's really special, especially right in the
Yeah.
front. Um,
Yeah.
and I was, when I obviously the first night of the tour, I was like everyone else, I was watching it on someone's live Instagram.
Right.
It was like
Yeah.
they're playing a new song, and I was kind of like, fuck.
Yeah.
But I think the opening song alone has become, I honestly like it better than opening with Plain Song. It's fucking unreal. It's
Sweet.
so fucking good.
That's
Yeah.
And it's I don't, after the first two shows, even after the first show, I don't miss them opening with Plain Song at all.
nice.
I got to see him play it. It was I thought it would be more weird when they just played it kind of in the middle of the encore.
Mm-hmm.
Because they did the new song, and then I think, what was it? It was Montpellier they did. I think I got it 2 nights in a row.
Yeah, a
But
couple with the I Can Never Say Goodbye, and then into Plain Song and with
right, so they
Chris
did it
Ray.
yeah, they did it in Montpellier, and then Barcelona.
Barcelona. Yeah.
But it wasn't weird at all.
Okay.
It actually worked. It was a different kind of Plain Song that I'm used to seeing, obviously.
Uh-huh.
Not being the set opener. Um, but I think it worked, and I honestly think Alone is a better set opener. It was
Cool.
amazing.
Yeah, I
Yeah, it's
mean,
it's pretty
given the
interesting because we were looking at the set list, and kind of going over like how they were doing the kind of the pop stuff and like later, and like how that must have been because like there's always those points through the shows. It's like when playing something upbeat where then everybody goes up and and you're like, wow, no, they didn't give any of it, but you felt it worked after like hearing it live. It resonated.
It worked really well, and I mean, the high points of the main set was like there's this like push into Play for Today, because that's as pretty much as happy as it gets. Even though Play for
yeah.
Today isn't it shouldn't be a happy song, but it is because people are just chanting
Right.
and screaming. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like going into Push and everyone's going fucking crazy at the sing-alongs, and then right into Play for Today. That's kind of like um the lightest part of the set in terms of like
Yeah.
not like physically crying, for me
Right.
anyway. But
Right.
still, I mean, that's what it is. It's so, I think, like them not playing Just Like Heaven and stuff in between days in the main set, it feels so much better in terms of like they had the audience from the first note to the last note, like no question. And it got even, it's like the intensity, it's obviously there, some of the last encore, the songs are light,
Mhm.
but they compensate with the energy because they're pop songs, and it just, people were going fucking crazy.
Yeah.
It worked out really well. I think I did a lot of shows on the 4 tour,
Right on.
and I forgot which. I think it might have been Charlotte, or it was one of them. But I remember they were doing the fucking they're doing like the Faith encore, and it was like other voices and Faith and stuff, and it was like that, like the third encore, and people were like in droves just like walking out because they didn't come here to see more than 3 hours of this shit, and especially these really depressing songs. And for me, it was like, what are they doing, But it makes sense, It's like you can't keep everyone for that long and then just go up and down, because by the third time you go back down, half of them are gone, whether they're still physically there or not, they're kind of just like drained. They just want it to be over. So these sets have been they flow really, really nicely, and it keeps everyone like, it's like, I don't know, they work really well.
Yeah, that's cool to hear. Because I love the idea of like they can get, especially like actual Cure fans, in the sense that you forget about like In Between Days and Just Like Heaven, but almost, it gets to the point where you're like, oh yeah, those songs, because you're so into like to the flow of their actual main set, and then it's just kind of like the icing on the cake by the end. It's like making all the normies wait, and shit too is good. All the little greatest hits fans can sit there and wait it out like bands make them do. So
yeah, and I think for fans like us, it's better too that you don't have to kind of sit through like when you're watching, especially with, I mean, the set, the timing, it was like each show was like around 2.5 hours. Some felt a little bit shorter than others. I think it was Barcelona felt really short. I didn't look at it what it was on paper, but the actual timing of it, but it felt a little bit shorter. But I think like for fans like us, it was like, instead of, when they're playing In Between Days and Just Like Heaven in the main set, we're kind of just like, I wonder what they're going to play for the first encore. You're thinking about other stuff. You're kind of just getting
right. Yeah.
Whereas
you're running different possibilities in your mind.
Exactly. Whereas now it's like, even all the diehards, they know what it is at the end, and it's just a pure celebration. So it's like, it was it was,
because even in like an older set, like as much as you love Just Like Heaven and stuff, they do kind of bring you out of the moment because they're so like iconic in a sense too. It's like this whole kind of and then now let's get back into Cure World. When that's kind of done, what's gonna come next?
Well, that was a really good way to phrase it. Like, it's almost like them doing those at the end is almost like the celebration. Like, you guys went through that emotional ride together in the other set, and now you're like all together, like breaking out and celebrating. It's like you won, you got through it. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's a good way to, that's an interesting kind of take. It's like, all right, we all took this journey together. We're at the end of the journey. Now there's a party at the end of the journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for the last encore, I think Close to Me is definitely the highlight. Just for the fact that Robert's just walking around and being playful, and people are just going nuts. So that's always fun when he just, walks around and you're staring at him in the eyes.
For sure.
I mean, you got close up there every night, man.
So you had to get good spots.
Yeah, so we would show up like usually. My dad has, like, he's obviously older, and his back isn't doing too great, so we were kind of like, well, let's just wait. We'll get the front row on the first night, and then maybe we'll kind of chill back for a couple more, but the first night's got to be right up front. So we did that, and then the second night's like, we're gonna go up front, and then the third night's like, no, we're gonna go up front. So yeah, we got front row on the rail every night. We show up at like 2:30, 3 o'clock, and just wait for hours, and then get yelled at in a language you don't speak, and then just keep running, and then get up there.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of throw that East Coast like what
like East Coast elbow.
Yeah.
But it's really worth it. I think it's because the interactions you have with the band and with Robert are something that you can't really talk about. Like, when you talk to someone like, oh, we were looking right at each other, you looked me right in the eyes, it's kind of like, okay, of course you did, you're standing in front of them, but to experience it, it's kind of it's hard to describe, but it's really, really worth it. So
awesome. I loved it that your dad was there with you for the 4 of the 5 too, just knowing the backstory there from our other episode with you. That's really sweet, tugging on my dad heartstrings there. That'd be so rad to do that with cool to hear, for sure. Had you been to any of those cities before? Were you fairly familiar, or were they all new?
No, I've seen them. I've seen them in France and for the festival 2005, La Route du Rock.
Okay.
And I've never been to Spain before, so that was the first time in all these cities. Barcelona's a pretty cool
Nice.
city. Madrid's a pretty cool city. I think
Awesome.
I like Spain a little more than France, I think, or
Yeah.
just like the feeling of the cities, I guess. But
Yeah.
they were all lovely. They're
Awesome.
lovely people. So
Cool. Yeah, and the people at the actual venues and stuff, other than the occasional
um,
misunderstanding, were they fairly cool or
I think
heard?
like the first few, like Geneva, Lyon, uh, I think Montpellier as well. But the security was extremely nice. They were giving out waters. They had little cups of water to give out to people
Oh,
in the
nice.
front.
Nice.
Very nice. It didn't feel like they were your enemy. Um, Barcelona was kind of weird. It was like getting into the venue. There was a lot of people lined up, and then it was a huge venue. And then waited, and then they let us kind of go to another kind of checkpoint.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought that it was kind of I thought it was just like open, so I started kind of like moving along,
Mm-hmm.
because my dad and I have a system where if any of us have like if I have a bag or something like that, he'll take all the bags. I pretty much have empty pockets. I'm gunning it, and then I get to the rail, and then I just like extend my arms, and he can kind of hobble up after me, and I'll save a spot, and we'll get up that way.
Nice.
Just got to get in there.
That makes
But
sense.
a lot of the people that there's people and they wait for hours and they need things, so they have bags, and that's what takes the most amount of time
Yeah.
to get them through security. And it's the fans are pretty good where there's like they kind of uh, self-organize and put numbers on their hands so you can usually get up to like 40 or 50 or whatever, just so you can kind of step in and out. But once the doors are open, it's just you got to get the fuck in there, because people get it'll take it could take a minute and a half to search someone's full bag who could be number two. But if I'm number
Right.
40,
Exactly.
I'm right here, I'm going in, I don't have anything.
Yeah.
But you try to be conscious of that, and obviously we're all in it together. But at the same time too, it's like, you traveled 6,000 miles, I'm fucking getting up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you mean to tell me you traveled 6,000 miles and he didn't cancel because it was cold? Like Morrissey?
Yeah,
Knew
we
that
walked
was
off
coming.
the other night in at the
LA,
in LA,
yeah.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that is what it is.
He made it there, He had a 30 minutes.
You all saw he tried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
It's like-
luckily for Cure fans, we don't have to worry about that shit,
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
But yeah, and then I think I'd say Barcelona was probably the most uncomfortable experience, like getting into the venue. It was
Yeah.
like, because and again, obviously there was very few Americans at the shows. All of them, I think I met one or two, and then up until Madrid, I met like there's like seven
Yeah.
people from like Pittsburgh,
Okay.
or six, whatever it was. But so there's no one that can really fill you in on what's going on. So when they come to the gate and they're speaking Spanish and we don't know what's happening, but they let people in, and then it started kind of like moving up, and people were kind of like, stop. And then kind of waited and got to another checkpoint, and then we got in, and then to get down to the floor, there were like one security guard just walked very slow, like backwards, like, let's move on. And as soon as someone started like going around to get down there, there's like he would stop the whole line, walked us all the way through the venue, all the way down to the floor. It was pretty ridiculous, but in the defense, because people were going to run down there and it was dangerous. There was a lot of steps. Someone's definitely going to get hurt. And then if one person falls, certainly people are going to step all over
Trample
them.
for sure.
So it made sense. I think it was just a poor, the venue was set up poorly for that type of situation. So it made sense. But once we got to the floor, he was still kind of saying like this. And then we could see, because there's numerous entrances on most of the venues, people from the other side are already running in there. So everyone just like, fuck this, and just started going, and they didn't stop anyone.
It turned into a zombie movie at that point.
But yeah, people were pretty aggressive up front, one or two in particular. I saw a guy get like shoved to the ground and stuff. But wow. I think too, like numbering up when people are waiting for a long time and they're like kind of showing like, I'm number 5, I'm number 6, whatever. It's kind of like it only goes, that's for waiting outside in line. You can't use that as an excuse.
Once you're on the floor and in GA, it's kind of like, it's every man for himself at that point.
Exactly. And then it is what it is. But I'd say Barcelona is probably the most uncomfortable, just because it was just kind of weird. But other than that, there was great. I mean, the security
How are
people were
they
fine.
sound wise? Do you feel like all of them held up as far as, I mean, they're pretty much got that
Yeah,
down, I'd think. But
I've noticed that when you're right up front too, like it's like
yeah.
I think the first night the barrier was really close to the stage.
Mm.
And even like the second night where it's like a little bit back, I could really hear those differences because you can kind of get it's just a big picture of the PA.
Yeah.
You know, when they're mixing front of house, they're, you know, 50 yards back there, so
Right.
they're hearing the whole thing. So when you're
Yeah.
right up front, you're definitely missing stuff or you're getting too much low end compared to how they're hearing it or whatever to
Yeah.
to compensate. So there was some kind of I noticed some sound stuff, but it was mostly from where we're standing. Other than that, it sounded amazing.
Pretty cool.
Really amazing.
Awesome.
I think when you're right up front, sometimes the keyboards, you kind of like you miss a little bit out of it. It's kind of going over you and you're like right
Right.
there, right in front of all the subs. So like I wish kind of like cold hit a little bit harder, like right when it kind of comes in with like the high keyboard
Yeah.
comes in from where I was sitting. But looking back in the videos, it sounded amazing, like compared to how I was hearing it.
Yeah.
But other than that, everything sounded spot on.
Sweet.
And
Yeah.
Robert's voice sounds fucking amazing.
Yeah. He's
Um,
still shining through, huh?
he's still
Yeah.
killing it.
It's great.
Yeah,
Yeah, we were
even,
we were just saying that somebody recently had like posted on a board that Robert like blew out his voice like the other night or something, and then
Yeah. It was
you know
like,
that's bullshit. I was there.
yeah, I was like listening
yeah,
to clips. I was like, it must have like not been too noticeable or anything. It seems
yeah he
fine, and they
sounds
played tonight,
fine.
and nobody's complaining. So I think somebody just maybe misinterpreted him taking it easy a little bit more on a certain song or something, and thought maybe something. I don't know who the hell knows,
And
but it's good
and
to
you'll
know it was bullshit.
yeah, and you'll notice too if he probably he messes up words and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Just getting lost in it, and you'll notice if he's like fucking up the words, he'll go really easy on it and like
yeah,
not he's not you can tell he's not committed and you kind of ride that out a little bit. So maybe it
yeah.
was that type of situation, but
That's
um
cool. How was Reeves sounding as far as like I guess the new songs in particular and stuff, like since he's kind of the adding what he would add to like an unknown Cure song and stuff like that. Did you
he
feel
was
like
he was great. I think I was, from listening to the videos, I was a little bit kind of, I wouldn't say concerning, but like hearing all the wah and stuff on end song, I'm kind of like,
yeah,
Um, but again, I think it's just like people taking videos from their phone. It's like
yeah,
you're not getting the low end or anything like that. But it was settled into the mix really nice, and I think it was I didn't think it was bad at all. Just to see it for real. Um,
Yeah, how did you feel about the addition of adding that other guitar and bringing him back in? Like,
I noticed Perry on like Friday I'm in Love, I guess, it works because it's like they can never were able to do that song justice because there is like a bass six lead that's all the way through it, and there is an acoustic guitar all the way through it, and there is a real guitar lead through it. So it
yeah,
was nice on like that because you can kind of hear all the parts as they should be. Um, and I could hear a little bit on Lullaby and like parts during the verse when Robert's not playing the bass six, he would kind of play it, but it's kind of confusing. He's like really, he gave me a pick from stage, which is nice.
cool.
nice.
Which is cool, but he doesn't really he's just kind of standing there and it's not really interacting. I mean, the life of the show is very much Simon, Robert, and Reeves, the
Yeah,
trio right there. I mean, Rogers, he's stationary, so he can only do so much. But
Yeah,
even
yeah,
staying there, you can still his presence is very much known. Just like you can, he's definitely a character. Um, uh, but Perry was just kind of, I think on Lyon, we were on that side. Most of the times, we kind of go right for like right between like right in front of Roger.
right.
Um, so right in front of like stage left. That's a pretty good area where we always go for. But Lyon, we were on the other side. Um, but yeah, he's kind of just there. He's not really interacting that much, but I mean, it's nice for him to be there, but it's just
Yeah,
a little bit weird.
just like Perry for the sake of being Perry up there. It's like, yeah, Perry's
yeah.
there.
That's what I'm saying. I
Yeah,
was trying to feel like did it
Yeah.
add like a lot? Was
it didn't.
was Robert able to put like play less so he could focus on singing?
Yeah.
Like I don't
No,
know.
he just played everything the same.
Just kind of,
Um,
Huh.
I mean, it looks cool. I like how it looks. It looks clean with two keyboards on the end and stuff.
yeah,
And then three of them in the middle, just kind of that's where the real energy's at. So I think it looks very symmetrical from like a production point of view.
yeah,
Yeah.
If not for anything else, but I mean, to he certainly didn't have to be there. Maybe I mean, Rob brought him on. This could be tons. who knows why he's there. Maybe Rob wants to go on tour with him because this is the end, and he wanted to be with his friend Perry. Maybe who knows? It doesn't really matter. As far as like him being like, oh, I'm so glad he's back because playing this, that's not there, but it's good to have him there. I mean, I guess we leave it at that, you know.
Totally.
I don't want to. It's weird because I think it was just everyone's so confused, myself included, when he showed up, and then seeing it live, it's kind of like you definitely forget he's on stage for the entire set. So it's weird, but also I think it'd be even more weird if he was kind of like going in, because like I thought about it, but then like thinking about it in hindsight, it just makes more sense where it's just like him and Roger on the end, they're just kind of holding it down, and then it's like Simon, Reeves, and Robert right in the middle, just locked in, and that's the energy,
going crazy.
and it works really well. But I think it's more so of us like, you know, the diehard Cure fans just being like, poor Perry, I feel bad for him over there. That's what it really is for me anyway.
Right.
Like, I don't know if he's having a good time or not. I feel kind of bad, but
but even the speculation I'm like, oh, well, maybe when we get the record, we'll see that he's got some credits on there. Maybe he did a little bit of recording on there. I mean, who knows? But you know,
it could be a bunch of things. But
I would say probably. I mean, I think like, what was that on the Enemy interview, the most recent one, that Carpet interview, he said the whole thing's going to be different. So at that point it was already established. Obviously he was, you know, playing the shows. I would assume that's what Robert was alluding to. That was, I'm not sure when that was. It was 20.
That was March of 2022.
Okay, so back in March.
So he had kind of alluded that something.
So that makes sense.
He alluded that. So at that point, it was already well established that Perry was there. So who knows if he was? I don't know.
Yeah, that's good.
We'll never know, but it's nice. It's nice to have him back.
Right. That's what I feel like. No matter the case, nobody's gonna complain. Just everyone loves him, so they're like, cool. Just keep him up there. It's cool. We're all totally fine with that. I guess circling back to the new songs then, and the idea, you'd listened to them then. I guess the few that you had heard before going to the shows, right, had all been out. Maybe not that last one. That was the last one.
Yeah, I heard it. I listened to it quickly. I forgot where. When did they debut it?
I was trying to, because
I remember I got a text about it, and I listened to it for a few seconds.
Yeah, Milan was where it debuted, and then. So I think I was traveling. I think we left on the 4th. So I think I listened to it for a second, but I really didn't want to. I think that one's probably my least favorite of the new ones. Right. I think that one maybe will sound better on record. Maybe it's not translating quite right. But it's probably my least favorite. It's the poppier one of them all, I'd say, but at the same time,
but not really. I thought the exact same thing.
And so you got the official debut though, as he was saying, I guess at that show in Montpellier, where he's saying he felt they didn't play it right the first time, or something like that.
That's what he mentioned. Yeah. But yeah, it was cool, but it wasn't very moving.
The other ones do. So the other ones though, were you all on board hearing them live and getting the full experience? Because I feel like
they were. I think for me, Alone is number one. It's just really fucking good. It's awesome. Really, and the more I hear it, the more it's like and obviously experiencing it is a lot different too. I mean, there's some decent recordings, but when you experience it, then it's very. I think it's a very like honest song for Robert to write, where it just feels like very genuine. And it's obviously not.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not overly like I don't know. It's still pretty. It's just a typical writing style, but I feel like it's just coming from his honest self. You know what I mean? It's not like overly revealing about anything specific in his life, but it's just really in touch with like who they are as a band now, and it's just like I mean, obviously the opening line, "This is the end," it's just like fuck, you know, it's just and I don't know, it's the best thing he's done in a really long time, and it's experiencing it live just really solidified it for me. It was really amazing. I like End Song. That was one that was for me listening to cell phone recordings. It was like for the type of song it is, I didn't really care. I mean, I listened to it a few times and stuff,
Right.
but live it was great and it made more sense, you know. But that's really powerful. I think I Can Never Say Goodbye is really, really emotional. It's like, I don't know, it's very moving, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, and Nothing Is Forever, the same thing. It's just they end like I think, and Nothing Is Forever really ends with a. It's like you can hear Robert's really his honest, like almost like whispering, talking voice.
Yeah.
Really emotional. He's crying every night he plays it.
Jeez.
It's really deep and really moving. So
Yeah.
they're unbelievable.
Yeah, it's making me definitely more excited for the alleged new album. Just in
Yeah.
the sense that we already know that like 5 really solid songs, you know, and it seems like even a more kind of like you're saying super sincere blood flowers in a sense, you
Yeah.
know, and even the parts that seem like slow burn song like Alone or something would be like you're already hearing these little catchy guitar parts and parts that are like way catchier than they seem on first few listens, you know. So
Absolutely. I think for Alone too, Reeves is playing the bass six part, and it's really simple, and
yeah,
it just works really well. Um, you know, and I almost felt like there was some I would have to run down, but it almost felt like he was like referencing. I think I could be wrong, but maybe I was just hearing it that way. But I thought like in the first versions of Alone, there's a line like um, it was like and here's to love all the love falling out of the skies, but it reminded me of like he was like referencing Charlotte sometimes, or
hmm.
here's to love, so much love, or yeah, that's what it was. But I think he now says it says, and here's to love, all the love falling out of our lives, whatever. I thought when I first heard it, I thought he was saying here's to love, so much love, which would be like almost like a reference of Charlotte sometimes.
Yeah.
This a similar
Yeah.
lyric, and I actually really liked that. I was like, fuck, that's a fucking
Sweet.
like they can do that now, and it's just like. I'm gonna
Yeah.
give you the final Cure record, and it's gonna like it just it.
Yeah.
I heard it, and I don't think I could have just been hearing it because I wanted to hear it or something in the cell phone recording.
Yeah.
But I thought it just like picked up a line like a word for word from Charlotte sometimes, which I thought would be amazing.
That would be
Um,
cool. They do seem like it. All of them have like little Easter eggs or something in there.
yeah,
Like what is that? Okay, like yeah, the one like
Right.
Nothing
Yeah.
Lasts Forever
I
seems like
definitely
it
think
has
there are
some.
ties. There are ties that he's weaving to some other stuff and
Yeah,
really, kind of like, buttoning up like all these things that he's done and all these things that he's felt throughout the years.
yeah,
It's a super vulnerable Robert Smith that we're hearing
extremely,
on this
yeah,
record.
yeah. And even here in I can never say goodbye. Like it's like something wicked this way comes. Like steal away my brother's life. It's just like fuck.
yeah.
I've
It's
never. I didn't expect him. I would never expect him to get that uh,
just blunt.
obvious. I guess easily.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And
But
even the
it's
way I've seen on a couple, I'm assuming there are probably a few that you were at in the last few ones where he's like introducing it almost just like, this is a song about my brother dying. I
yeah.
was like, whoa, shit, this is
It
like,
was
Yeah.
you
yeah.
know,
So
like just,
one of the shows, he was kind of apologizing,
uh,
not really, but I mean, kind of jokingly apologizing to people, like, "Don't worry, we're gonna get there.
mm-hmm.
For that, like the happy stuff is coming, and you'll enjoy that more." And then he was kind of like, I forgot exactly how he worded it, but he's like, what am I saying? You're gonna really love this. This is a song about my brother's dying.
Yeah.
It's just super sad.
It's like,
Like,
whoa.
It was good. And then he toyed with I was really hoping they were going to do it, but he toyed with playing at after the first, right when he walked out for the second encore
uh,
in Barcelona. He toyed with like he started singing the blood a little bit,
yeah.
but he was playing the bass six, so he wasn't really playing the guitar part. It was not Dolor, but and
Awesome.
then in Madrid he really did it for a while, which was
Yeah, it seemed
great.
longer for that one. Did he play it for
Yeah,
a
oh
bit?
yeah, he really did it because I think it's most. I thought we were gonna get it for sure,
Yeah.
but they didn't play it.
Did
I'm sure.
everybody go like totally ape shit? Like,
Kind
or
of. I mean,
freak out? Yeah.
it was weird because it was like you couldn't go crazy because he was,
Not
um,
really doing it.
yeah, and
Yeah.
the guitar solo and stuff. But I was
Yeah.
surprised how committed he was. They sang the high part in
Yeah.
Madrid because they should have fucking played it. But I'm sure there's other reasons why they wasn't ready and production reasons and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, I wish they played that, but it was still cool to have that little moment.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, and I guess you were getting a lot of doing the unstuck kind of sprinkled in there too. Is the
I
pop
think I got it twice.
encore?
Yeah, they did
Yeah.
it in Madrid and also was it Montpellier?
Yeah, looks like it. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's
that was
not.
cool. Simon goes buck wild for that.
Yeah.
He's like spinning
Yeah.
around and shit. I think Robert kind of fucked up a little bit on the first in playing in France, but in Madrid it was perfect. He was spot on.
Sweet.
It was cool.
Awesome. Did you catch any like just band dynamic? Do they all seem like they're cool and stuff as far as like
Yeah.
dynamic with Simon and Roger and
Yes,
everybody seems how you'd expect?
I think so. There was one. I think it was Lyon when they did Forest, but I feel like Robert kind of dragged it out a lot more. It was. Oh no, was it Geneva? Maybe it was Geneva. But like Robert kind of dragged out the ending bit where they kind of
Oh
Robert will trail
yeah.
off. Robert kind of dragged it out for a long time, and then it almost seemed like Simon was pissed that he did that because it's kind of like his moment, and then he just fucking
Right.
picked up the bass and just threw it and just went fucking smack
Uh,
down and just walked
yeah.
off, and it's kind of like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Um, he didn't do his crash end. I
Betrayal.
mean, he did his crash ending, but not in the typical way he does it. So instead of just doing the dun, 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 and getting crazy,
Yeah.
he just went
Just like
dun 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 dun, fucking threw it up in the air and walked out. And I was like, shit.
Everyone's like, here we go again.
That was something that I was kind of like, it seemed like he was almost mad or something like that. But if
Rebounded
he
well
was,
though.
he got over it pretty quickly.
Yeah,
So
that's good. So,
Yeah.
that's it. Everyone just turns and looks at Perry at that point.
Yeah.
It's like now it makes
Well,
sense.
oh, Harry comes and picks it up.
Yeah, he's basically there just for whoever freaks out and like
He's there.
storms off the stage.
He's there to break up the fights. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
But yeah, there was a number of reasons. To go back to the Perry thing, I was
Uh-huh.
because I've been thinking about it obviously a lot, and then maybe it's financial reasons he wanted to get him back. Maybe it's
Yeah.
he just wanted to be with his friend for the last tour, and maybe I also thought maybe for like a COVID kind of backup or something.
Yeah. Or
If
just
someone had gotten
Yeah,
sick and couldn't
true.
perform, so they could have like an extra, like he could technically. I mean, he's obviously not Reeves level proficiency as far as guitar playing, but he knows the songs that he could get by for sure.
yeah.
And same thing with
Mhm.
keyboard. So maybe I was thinking something like that.
Yeah, with all the
Um,
songs they could piece together, at least even with bass, he played bass in that
well,
other
then I was thinking
band,
maybe
and
Robert
yeah.
called him when Simon was like, "Fuck this, I'm out," and he was gonna
Exactly.
have
Right.
his,
Yeah, that's
Perry,
true.
Perry
Maybe
was
he
playing
started working
bass.
with him at that point. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
so, I mean,
Perry was
hey.
playing bass in another band.
Yeah.
For a while, so I was maybe Robert called him, and then Simon came back, and then he's like, "Well, I guess you can just do something else
Hang
now."
out. Yeah, it's good. He's
Yeah,
definitely a
exactly.
handy dude to have on,
No one will ever know why.
Right.
We'll have to leave it at that.
Yeah.
But imagining and talking about different scenarios is fun. So
Yeah.
throw 'em out there.
Exactly. Yeah,
So-
that's one thing that they definitely have been giving us is letting us go crazy with our fan fiction.
Yeah, exactly. I guess
I
along
was-
the Perry lines too. Another one that was one of the more rarer tracks in Barcelona. You got to hear "Trust" again, which is cool. How did that one sound?
It was cool. They were sound checking it, so I heard it earlier that day. They also were sound checking
Cool.
M.
wow.
I didn't check. Did they people still put the sound check songs in there too?
Occasionally, it's been a while now. I hadn't seen any for a while. I think somebody had posted a like cockatoos a while back, and that one didn't pan out. So everyone
Yeah, I
kinda
didn't hear
stopped.
that. I would fucking love to.
Yeah, that
Um,
would have been cool. But
While we're talking about 17 seconds, I think At Night has been a real highlight for me as well.
cool. Yeah.
It's fucking great.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it sounds really good. It's powerful, and I'm really glad that's kind of a staple in the set now.
Yeah.
Really, really, really good version. Simon's
Sweet.
killing it. Stage looks sick. It's all
Yeah.
stars like it's at night.
Cool.
But that's cool.
But yeah, but Trust.
But yeah, Trust was cool. It's
pretty
not my favorite
Yeah.
your song, but I know you guys love it.
Yeah, you know.
It was fucking amazing. It was amazing.
Yeah, cool. It seemed
No,
like it had a
it
little
was
extra
good.
Roger flair to it from the recording I heard, but I don't
Yeah,
know.
it was good.
Yeah.
It was nice and it was nice and mellow. It sounded great.
Awesome.
I'm trying to think of. I think actually the one song I was surprised by the most was 39.
Okay.
Blood Flowers is is probably my least favorite Cure record.
Yeah.
They performed it with conviction, and it was actually, it fit really well with the set, and I actually really enjoyed it.
Awesome.
Surprisingly, that would usually be something that I would be like, why are they wasting this is valuable, real estate.
Right, exactly.
We need something better than this. But it actually sounded really good, and
Cool.
I was getting into it. Hungry Ghost it's probably maybe one of my, not even, that song has always been weird for me because I think the way he sang it and like the way they recorded it is bizarre. I think it could have actually, if he sang it differently and the production wasn't terrible, I think it could, and just some small things were changed. I think it actually could have been like an Instant Cure classic, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I like the live versions better than the record that I've heard. But even back in 2007, 2008, I liked it better. But it's with this lineup, it's kind of like it's good. I mean, it's not. It's definitely the one thing that they would play on 413 Dream, but it's like it doesn't. I didn't. After the song, I didn't say that was the best version of that song I've ever heard. It was okay. It was cool, but I don't know. It's just maybe it's just not for me. But
yeah, that's a tough one to. Yeah, I was actually gonna ask. I had that. It was like sometimes it's crazy when you're at these shows and a certain song, whether it be one that you never were that crazy about, or just an old classic you've heard a billion times, and you're like, how could this hit hard? But like they just surprisingly hit hard. Would you say 39 covers that then, or any other?
Absolutely. And maybe for I'm trying to think of more classic songs.
Yeah, because it's weird because sometimes you wouldn't really think a Forest even would really blow you away, but when you're there and seeing it live again, it's like, oh man, and of course this song is classic,
And I think in the stage, the stage lighting and the visual production is really really good for a Forest. It changes a lot, and it's just like the green and purple lights, and it's really cool. They set the mood in a really cool way, which is very classic of Forest lights.
Yeah.
But it's different than, it's enhanced and it's different than the whole set, so it's a special moment. Cool. And it's hard not to get into it, because especially when you're when you're seeing them in countries where English is not their language, it's people kind of gravitate towards the sing-along anthems that they can actually sing along to, they can't sing along to doing the Unstuck, but they can go again and again and again. So it's the crowd gets really hyped up for that type of stuff, especially when you're seeing them in different countries that don't speak English. But it was, it makes those songs more special, I guess. Because seeing people, people want to, give back all they can. And so there's a lot of chanting and a lot of, single kind of line, like repeating things that they go crazy on, which is really cool. Even in a night like this, they do it over there too, where it's like da, 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 da. They like kind of like chant along with it. Like it's really fucking cool.
Yeah, it's always rad. That's always blows me away. Of course, like Play for Day, Push, like the classics with that. But anytime that they're like singing along to a keyboard riff or something, even it's like that's always so cool.
that was the first time I noticed it for a night like this. But even in Madrid, they were doing it to like the keyboard line and like in Close Down. It was like it was weird. Singing like simple melodies to kind of to give back. It was pretty cool. I will say, I think my favorite, I'm not sure. Yeah, probably one of my favorite moments. I think Kyoto Song in Montpellier was fucking unreal. And I love Kyoto Song, but it's not like, I'm not like obsessed with it or anything like that, but the live rendition of it was really, really amazing. And Robert just came over and just sang it because he takes the mic freely. Like it was right in front of us the entire first verse, and it was just fucking. It was really, really amazing performance. That was really special. Kyoto Song, and that was the only time they played it on the run that I went on. It really stood out to me, and my dad as well. It was like that was the best. It was really good.
Awesome. Cool. Were there any that you felt might be hinting towards they should just retire that song? Any that seemed like they're dragging a little more than they used to at previous shows or anything? Or are they all pretty much still there? Or
maybe, Hungry Ghost, I'd say.
Yeah,
probably. But I mean, they're just trying stuff out, so I wouldn't say retire, but
Retire,
it's
yeah,
like,
just preference stuff, you know.
I mean, it's nice that like, one thing I am glad is just like we're relieved from the end of the world
Yeah.
on this tour, because that was always like a number three, like that, like right where like, you know, and that like this is being played, that's where like that would be played. So
Right.
it's nice to get a break from that, because you know it's not like I don't hate the self-titled record, but it's just these shows are better than that, you know.
Yeah,
And
it's a
they
little.
Yeah, I feel like there's definitely a set like feeling that these shows are encompassed in, where there's certain songs like just would not make sense in this kind of
yeah, not
feeling,
at all.
you know?
Yeah.
Which is really cool. I think Lyon, the I Can Never Say Goodbye, Cold, Strange 800 Years encore in Lyon was really fucking cool. That was powerful. And also I know that our Strange Day has always been a favorite of mine.
Yeah.
And it's nice to hear him play it so often now. That's another really cool. They sound really tight playing that song. The video, like the live production, the stage production is great. There's great visuals. I'm glad they're really playing that a lot.
Yeah.
It works really well.
That's cool. Yeah, where the visuals on a whole seemed a little different than like some of the stuff I've seen, maybe from like the 2019 festivals and stuff. Some new stuff. Is it all pretty cool?
Yeah, it's great. It's
Yeah.
like they have the screens. It's like one big one in the middle, which is guys like Robert and Jason. Then they each kind of
Yeah.
have a screen. But it looks great. There's, you know, same classic thing with when, you know, they play Push. It's all the audience, so they can kind of, you know,
Yeah.
see themselves, which is
Right
cool.
on.
But yeah, it's top notch. It's great. It's very clean
Awesome.
looking. And I think if not for anything else musically, with Perry being on board, it's a very clean looking stage
Yeah.
setup with the two keyboards on the end, Robert in the middle, and then Reeves and Simon really interacting with each other.
Yeah.
So it's exciting, and there's movement between them, but it keeps it kind of anchored from like a visual standpoint on the ends.
Yeah.
So it looks really cool. It's
Awesome.
my favorite stage production that they've
Cool.
had for sure.
Did you see them
Right.
filming or anything? Any sweeping cameras or anything going on like that?
No
Nothing.
sweeping.
No sweeping cameras. That's good.
No, but on the camera that's on Robert, which they do, you know,
Yeah.
it's like I didn't realize it until I looked at videos after, but it is like his whole body. You can see like the floor and his feet like all the way up,
Oh,
which is
wow.
cool, not just like a close up.
That's cool.
But for these runs of shows, I was very close, so you kind of missed that because Jason
Yeah.
was blocking it. But I didn't realize until I think it was like after the second or third show, it was like you can see his whole body standing there. It's pretty cool.
And how was I mean, gotta ask, how was Twilight Sad?
Yeah.
They're all right. It's I think I like them. The last two shows they played were probably my favorite ones. They seem to maybe be connected more with me after I've seen them a few times, but I don't know. I'm not going to critique it here, but it's I like the records, but it was enjoyable.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things too, where it's like, it's like you're like, I don't want the appetizer because I've been waiting for this meal for so long. You know what I mean?
And also it's just
Yeah.
I wish it was just something like, because we've just seen it before, I guess. It's kind of just like, so that kind of bummed me and I'm sure a lot of other people out. I just wish it was something a little bit different. You know, it's just like a really safe, easy
Yeah.
choice, I guess.
Yeah.
So I kind of was looking. I wish it was something different, but you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool. And also, so for like, as soon as you walk in, as soon as the doors are open, there's just like rain and thunder sounds being played from the PA the entire time.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
So that was.
Yeah, so that's like happening, which is not good if you need to use the bathroom. You know,
I was
running
gonna
water
say,
all the time.
like, oh,
make the
man.
obvious.
But
Yeah,
so then the Twilight Side play, and then it goes back to that after their set, and then some. So then right when the lights go out, it's just like it's the strobe lights that kind of make it look like, you know, lightning, which is cool. And then some kind of ominous keyboard notes will start to play to build it up, but nothing too grand.
Yeah.
But I think, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, how long do they drag it out when it like goes full? Like they're coming out any second now. Was it like a 15 minutes? Or
It wasn't too long, but
yeah.
I think they drag out they're on stage, like Robert's on stage looking right at people in the front for a while
Oh,
before they start. Not too long, but sometimes it was like you almost wish it happened sooner because
Yeah.
you can only scream for so long, so it kind of almost died down.
Yeah.
It just gets awkward. Like, so,
Yeah,
what
exactly.
you been up to?
He's like,
Making
I mean,
small
people,
talk with him and shit.
people are going in.
How's Mary?
Yeah, everybody good?
People are still making a lot of noise and everything, but
Yeah.
it's like I would say if I could critique it, I would say I wish that they went into the song a little bit sooner compared to I wish they waited or Robert anyway, like waited a little bit longer to walk out. So it kind of
Yeah.
like was there for a little bit shorter, but that's just,
Yeah.
it's a minor critique. Um, but it's really cool. I was I don't know, I was expected to be disappointed because like I said, I love the plain song opening with the bells and everything and him walking around,
Yeah.
but this was it beats it for me. It's better. It really
Yeah.
is.
That's awesome. Man. Yeah. Well, hopefully they'll
And on this, the live production, their stage setup too is, it's like their monitors, like their wedges for the other band members, like Roger and Simon and Reeves, they're all pushed like back a little bit. They're not right at the end of the stage. So Robert has like a clear walkway, which is like intentional. But
Oh,
he walks in front of them with like a clear pathway.
Yeah.
So like during Alone and also like the Kyoto song in Close to Me, he's not like stepping over shit, whatever. He's like right there at the end of the
Yeah.
stage.
That's good.
So it's just like
that actually makes a lot of sense.
yeah. So he gets right there, which is cool. I really like. I think it was a smart idea.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
We don't have to risk having him going over the edge there or anything.
That would suck.
Yeah.
I don't know if he'd get back up.
Yeah, that'd be a scary fall. So, awesome. Did you? Was there any notable banter that hasn't been mentioned or anything? Were you able to make out any insight?
I liked the one where he said, when he was joking, saying, "No, you guys are all gonna love this, and if you want to feel happy that the song's about my brother dying." I thought that was funny. Obviously that's not funny, but the way he said it was, he was intentionally trying to be
essentially kind of trying to lighten the fact that it's like a heavy, like punch in the face, sad, like.
I mean, and for his point of view, I'm sure you have to. I mean,
Yeah,
you can't relive that every single night in a very serious way, because you're just gonna there's not much longevity in that. You're gonna never want to play that ever again.
Yeah, if you soak in that dark, in that feeling, it would be no bueno.
Yeah. Banter, he was chatty. It was like he would talk a good amount, like too, like right when they came out for the encores, like when they come up for the first encore, he would like talk, where they wouldn't just like go right into it.
That's cool.
I think Lullaby was a pretty good segue into the pop songs, because it's like it's still moody, obviously, but it's poppy, I guess. But it was a nice segue into like the pop songs.
Yeah. I mean, just that whole batch, I think, works a lot better because they kind of had that idea, even on the festivals tour, of like, let's end on a fun celebratory note, but it was all like, why can't I be you? And like, it seemed all a little more of like the really spazzy pop ones. Like, these are like just those classic pop awesome songs, so it's all like, I think that works a lot better. But
I think so too. And I think playing Just Like Heaven, like second to last too, is great. I love that, because I mean, they used to play it like in the main set a lot.
Yeah.
I'd have to reference like the 2019 festivals sets, but I know for a lot of like in the 4 tour and stuff like that, in 2016 tour, they played like in the middle of the set. But I love it second to last. I think it's great.
Cool. Yeah, totally. Well, it sounds rad. When you were in the like in between times there between the cities and waiting, did you catch any like cool record shops or bands playing in the street or anything? Did you get to pick out on some delicious food at least or anything like that?
I ate some good food, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, the only day off we had once we started was we got there the day before in Geneva.
Mm-hmm.
This place is okay. It's a little bit, the city's kind of drab, but it was cool. And then we had a day off in Barcelona, and that was it, I think. The only day off we had in Barcelona, which was great. Went to a really nice dinner and everything. And then after Madrid, we stayed there. Madrid was on Friday. And then so I had 7 of my friends from Boston went out there.
Nice.
And we just got like an Airbnb for a few days. So I got in that morning. They got there like the day before, and then we stayed there until Monday. We all came home.
Awesome.
So that was fucking great. We saw Ricky and Nueve Testamento. I'm not sure if you know those bands, but we saw them on Saturday night, which is great.
Awesome.
We went buck wild.
Sweet. Yeah, I bet.
Is that like a smaller venue? Like
Yeah.
It was a small club. It was great.
Nice.
Excellent.
Yeah, we're label mates with that band, Nueve Testamento.
Okay.
So we had to pull up. It was just by chance they were there.
Awesome.
And
Yeah.
That's great.
And then and DJ Andy, you know her, Antonio, the synthesizer.
Yeah.
So she was her, and then she played after because it was like the club's unstopped till like 4 a.m. So
Wow.
Oh wow. Nice.
it was something.
Awesome. Yeah, I bet.
That's awesome.
So it was nice to see some, New York was in Madrid,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was good when you have a
it was like a mini Saint Vitus party.
Exactly. It was cool as fuck. So that was great.
Cool.
But yeah, when we started, we had the one day off, and then basically it was like cure every fucking day. Go the gig, and then try to get to sleep because the time change was fucked up, and then wake up and then get to the next city. And I've been doing that myself since the beginning, or we said October 15th or so, because we did a bunch of shows by the House of Harm, so it was like a show every single day. I had 3 days off and then just did the same thing, seeing The Cure.
Right.
So I love it though. It suits me because I like to just keep on going.
Yeah.
I don't like too many days off. You get to you start walking around in circles faster and faster and faster. So I like when something's happening.
Yeah, it was great. I got to see you on the last day of that tour in Brooklyn Monarch. Yes, for House of Harm was awesome.
That was a good night.
You guys killed it. The new songs are sounding really awesome live. I love the different stuff you added to the set because it was Halloween. The little different samples and sounds, and that logo you made for the background. It was definitely fitting.
Yeah, the Crypt Keeper showed up for us, which was great. So
awesome.
It was nice. Yeah, it was pretty rad. So how did those shows go for you guys on tour before I saw you in Brooklyn? Everything
it was great.
Successful tour, you think?
Oh yeah. It was great. I loved it.
How was Greenville? Sorry, I didn't make it out there. I even had the Renegade go out and catch you down there for Greenville, but I was home with the kiddo.
Was Greenville
South Carolina?
I think it was at they kind of blend together. I think we played a record store in North Carolina, right?
That was in Raleigh, which is and then far east. But
that show was cool.
Yeah, Greenville's not too far from here, but it's like hour and a half.
Oh yeah, I dedicated a song to you, and then I realized you weren't there. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I really wanted to be, but it was a bit of a stretch still getting there. But
no sweat.
But
no, it was a cool run. We've never been down.
Yeah, I was just curious too what the scene's like at this point. I've heard mixed things about Greenville at this point, but cool to hear. If they got you guys, that's a good vote for me. So
and we for us too, it's just like obviously the kind of music we make is it's just kind of it's not for everyone, but it's it has a emotional impact on the people. So the people who are passionate about it are really passionate about it. So our thing is we're just finding these the dark corners to hang out in each city we go to, and kind of those are our people. So it's nice to connect with the people that are listening to your stuff and consuming the art you make. And it's nice to be able to talk to them and listen to their story and chat a bit and stuff. And connect with people like that. So it's been it's fantastic. It's great to be able to do that. It's what I live for.
Right on. Do you have?
You guys to try out some of those new songs too.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're sounding great. Any new material in the works and ready to roll, or
almost done? I swear. I think last time we talked to you,
pulling a Robert here.
It's really almost done.
Cool. And any tour plans again? Are you gonna pick right up, or are you giving yourself a little break here?
We're going back out in April.
Awesome. Cool.
On the East Coast, it's better to avoid the January, February weather.
Yeah, we figure we're gonna finish up all the things we need to finish up for the record. As far as the recording and everything it's all done. We just gotta kind of get our head straight. It's been a pretty wild year for us. Get our head straight, and then get the record out there, and then like I said, in the springtime we'll be back on the road. So
awesome. Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll all be traveling around. You'll be able to work in some of these Cure shows that are bound to be announced anytime now in the U.S. too. So you can maybe you'll be opening for them at this point. I don't want to make any conclusions, but
I'm not gonna
confirm or
deny.
I'll
call it what it is. It would be a better show if we were opening than that.
Okay.
yeah.
Fair enough. But yeah, that'll be great. Hopefully, they will announce something and we can cross paths. Do you think you'll see here, or did you get your fill? Will you catch your?
No, of course. I'm not sure. I wanted to, it seems like it should be. It seems like I'm doing it backwards. Like I should maybe be investing because obviously I live in America, so it makes more sense to do a bunch of shows in America. But I think it's just like doing more shows in Europe it just puts such a good purpose to traveling,
Yeah, for sure.
So it's like, I'd rather do, 5 shows there than, 8 shows here or whatever. It's not like, if you're out there, if you're traveling to go see them, it's, the costs are the costs, it's not like it's so much more to go see him over there or whatever. If you gotta fly, you gotta fly. But we'll see where I'm at. I'll see a few of them for sure. I'm not gonna do I wouldn't do more than 10 or anything.
Cool. Yeah.
But who knows? We'll see.
Yeah,
I'm fixed up right now, so I might be going through withdrawals within the next couple months.
So. yeah, exactly. Right now you're okay, but
awesome.
Yeah,
cool.
But the timing was really good for me for this.
Yeah, that was crazy. It was like right as your tour was ending.
Exactly.
So did it get to the point where we're like, well, maybe we shouldn't play that one extra show? Was it all convenient like that? It just by chance? Or?
No, it was honestly by chance. It just worked out really well.
Awesome.
Knowing Mike, I guarantee this guy would get off stage one night, go to the airport, get right on a plane to go to Europe if he had to.
Yeah, for sure. It's I was away from home for more than a month, which was cool. And I came back and I didn't even have the same home.
Yeah, there you
go. But yeah, it was it worked out really well for me. So I'm grateful for that. I wouldn't. It's hard to dedicate. If they announce a bunch of US shows, I would just wait and see what happens because it's hard for me to. I can't in good faith take out. I can't commit to taking weeks off just for my to see the Cure because I would end up having to cancel for my own band stuff. That's I consider that I take priority in doing our own stuff. So I think I got my fill. I would see definitely see a few American shows, but maybe just East Coast stuff. We'll see, or maybe just like LA or something. Or if they come up here, I'm gonna go obviously. But we'll see.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe it'll be like where you're following them to a certain degree on wherever your dates are and shit too. You can make it work.
As long as you're not competing, that's all.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Tough competition. But
are you guys gonna see as many shows as you can? Obviously.
I'd like to try to do East Coast. A lot of it just depends on what they throw at us and what kind of shows. But yeah, I definitely want to hit up numerous ones, and maybe even if I get real crazy, do a rando West Coast one on top of the East Coast or something like that. But it's more just what I can swing with the kiddo. Maybe I'll bring him with me and hire a nanny.
How old is he?
He's 10. So he's just about 10. So he's a little young to be bringing to
I went to my first Gear show when I was 12 or 12 or 13. It was in 2003. Awesome. Oh yeah, I was 12.
Yeah, he's insisting we do one at least. So I'm definitely gonna get him to the a pavilion show or something would be great. But he's like, no man, I want to be front row. We're good. I'm like, all right, man.
Yeah,
you got to do it. It literally it shaped me more than I could ever even put into words. And it's you got to do it.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna try to take Elvis to at least one show. He'll be 12 on Friday actually, and he
there you go.
It's last week I was sitting downstairs and he's up in his bedroom. He's like, Dad, I'm gonna go upstairs and play guitar. I said, all right, cool. And all of a sudden I'm listening. I'm like, oh, wow. He's like now learned every single part of Boys Don't Cry, and he's in his room singing it, playing it. He's got his amp cranked up, and I'm like, I did something right as a father,
Yeah, I think that type of thing. I mean, I'm speaking from my own experience, but that was I was very, very, very fortunate to have my dad taking me to so many shows when I was younger. That was our vacation. So it was like it really shaped me for it's why I'm doing this now. I'm able to go on tour with my own band, because it kind of gave me the confidence and the emotional impact, for me to feel the dire need to pursue music myself. So
for sure, awesome. Your dad enjoy all the shows? Then I take it he felt like
them. Oh yeah,
awesome.
I mean, like I said, I was still bummed that they played Faith after he left, but
tough.
But we were hoping for that, but still, it was fantastic.
I'm sure he's almost as equally happy that you caught it, at least. So that's good.
He says that. I know deep down he wishes. Obviously, we both wish it was the day before, but still.
Cool. Awesome, man. I don't want to keep you too long, but I definitely want to keep steering people in the direction of houseofharm.com too. Keep track of all your news and approaching songs and all that, and check out the old material too if anybody isn't familiar out there that's listening. Definitely would love your tunes. I can't imagine any Cure fan wouldn't also be into it. So, but there's a lot of them. Who knows? But at the same time, definitely check it out. Streaming everywhere.
You've been to Barcelona, trust me.
Yeah, there's Barcelona.
Well, I think it's great too, because like inadvertently, being into the Cure and doing this podcast and like meeting Gavin like allowed me to actually discover House of Harm. So it's cool. Big fan and love the fact that I get to call you guys friends. I'm glad you got to come on here. And this is what I love about music and the passion that we all share. Like it's great because it's like, it's like we build friendships, we discover new music, we support each other. So obviously as soon as, you're getting ready to announce anything with when the record's coming out, you let us know.
Of course.
We're always cheerleaders for you guys, and we really appreciate you coming on.
Of course. Thank you so much.
Cool deal. And again, thank you so much for sharing your stories there. It makes it all come to life so much more. Just picturing you, running to the front and everything. It just makes it so much better than just me with a little tear coming down my eye looking at setlist.fm and be like,
yeah, like this was probably sounded really cool.
Yeah. It seems really cool. So thank you so much for painting the full picture, and I'm just so happy you had a great time and made it back safe and everything too, and had a great time.
Thank you so much.
So cool, man. But I guess on that note, we'll wrap up. We're done grilling you for now. So.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, for the holy hour, Antonio, Mike, I'll say talk hard. All right, again, a very special thank you to Mike for coming on and chatting with us and filling us in, giving us all these wonderful details on his experience over in Europe. And be sure to check out his band, House of Harm, and their two latest singles that are out, Feel My Heartbeat and In Threes, are streaming everywhere now, along with all their back catalog. So go check them out. Amazing songs. And keep your eyes on houseofharm.com for any tour news coming up, or just any news coming up, and the new year in particular. All right, so we're wrapping this up. I'm just going to tack on our updates on tour news here. To be honest, I haven't watched a lot of clips or anything of these past 6 shows or so. Since talking to Mike, it's been pretty busy and had recorded another episode and subbing with the kiddos a bit, so a little stretched thin, but I've been taking notes night by night of what happened, and thought I'd give you the rundown here for continuity's sake. What do you say we go through the list? All right, last Sunday, November 13th, my brother's birthday, in Toulouse, France, The Cure came back and played in another amazing set. All these seemed really amazing, even on paper. Notable song appearances that night were If Only Tonight We Could Sleep, A Fragile Thing again, which pretty much we can confirm now all the 5 are cemented in there. They haven't drifted from those, so if you're going to upcoming shows, I think you can pretty much guarantee you'll see those. Figurehead was played, which is awesome. Strange Day, Hanging Garden, and Primary, so pretty solid set there in Toulouse. So lots of good, not quite confirmed, obvious ones. So good variety. And Encore 1, of course, it's pretty much a given. It's going to be I Can Never Say Goodbye, kicking it off. So I'll just make note of the other ones, and you can just assume that one is being played at the beginning of Encore 1 every night. And they got Faith again. So Faith, 100 Years in a Forest. So cool combo. And pretty rad that Faith still just kind of gets sprinkled in, maybe every 5th show or so. So you might need to go to 5 shows if you want to guarantee seeing Faith. And you still never know. But that's cool. They got it in France. And Encore 2, they did the 7 songs but swapped in Hot, Hot, Hot again. So that was cool that Hot, Hot, Hot hasn't totally been put on the back burner. And pun intended, I don't know. And yeah, so pretty solid night there in Toulouse. Monday night, November 14th, they go to Bordeaux, and they play Last Day of Summer, which is a notable one, and 39. So on top of that, a lot of the standards there with Play for Today and everything. Encore 1, Disintegration heavy. It was the Prayers for Rain. With Disintegration, plain song, so that's always a cool but standard one at this point if you get the Disintegration block. And Encore 2 made the debut of Let's Go to Bed almost right on cue, right? So which is kind of funny because in our episode for Let's Go to Bed, I think I said that the anniversary was the 15th, so I thought that was a little weird that they busted it out a day early on the 14th, but then on the 15th, the next night, they don't play it, and I was like, and then I went back to double check it, and it wasn't, the date had changed. I think I had found it on Wikipedia that it was the 15th, and I was like, I shouldn't trust that. Then I went through all my books with all the discographies and everything, and everyone just had November. Nobody had a specific date. So I think I got that 15th from Wikipedia, but then it's been changed since I did that episode, and it's the 27th now. So if anyone can confirm when the hell Let's Go to Bed actually came out, the exact day, or if they were at this show in Bordeaux, or the next night on the 15th, if he said if this was the official 40th birthday, or maybe there's some other weird factor where it had kind of a different release date in different parts, so he's not really declaring an absolute birth date for Let's Go to Bed. So, I don't know, but so maybe on the 27th is the official epic birthday of Let's Go to Bed, but they didn't play it on the 15th in Nantes, France, which I thought was the anniversary, but no big deal. They still got some great deep cuts. They got Kyoto Song, Trust came back for them at night, and M actually for only the 3rd time on this tour. It did get played super early on in early October at the very beginning of the tour in Oslo and Helsinki, but hadn't been played since, so we'd kind of forgotten that it'd been neglected all this time until now. And Want also got played, and let's see, Encore 1, they got Drowning Man for only the 4th time so far on this tour, so that's cool that they dug that up. Charlotte Sometimes in a Forest. And then at Encore 2, the Pop Encore, they did a teasing guitar riff of 10:15 apparently, but did not actually play 10:15, so still holding out that they have not played anything from Three Imaginary Boys this whole tour. That's pretty crazy. Is that still true? I think it is, yeah. And they did include doing the Unstuck again. So So some cool ones, but a few little weird wrinkles in that set for sure. So as we move on, they had the day off on Wednesday. Thursday they were in Frankfurt, Germany on the 17th. Last Day of Summer gets played again, which is cool that this is getting more regular plays at night again, and A Strange Day, which is pretty rad to see those pretty regularly popping in, but not 100% consistent. Encore 1, for this one, we got Cold, Charlotte Sometimes, in a Forest. So almost identical to the night before, but they swapped out Cold for Drowning Man. And Encore 2, they're back to doing 8 pop songs, but this time they did switch in Let's Go to Bed. So they're back on the 17th with Let's Go to Bed. So maybe we're going to start seeing a more common alternating between Let's Go to Bed and doing the Unstuck, and the Pop Encore is that 8th song. So that's pretty cool. Friday, November 18th, Strasbourg, France. Last Day of Summer. Want, Charlotte Sometimes. So some pretty good interchangeable ones there. And Encore 1, we saw the Disintegration block again there of Plain Song, Prayers for Rain, Disintegration. And Encore 2, 8 pop songs. This time they flip it back to doing the Unstuck. Which leads us to today's show, Saturday, November 18th, in Basel, Switzerland. And they played Hanging Garden and At Night and Want, which is pretty rad. So good alternates in there too. And they get Faith. So let's see, how many days has it been since Faith? Yeah, about 5. There were 5 shows since Faith. And yeah, so that's kind of cool. They got a Faith there, 100 Years in a Forest. And then Encore 2, they did the 8 songs, but alternated Let's Go to Bed again. So that's back in action. So pretty cool. Setlist.fm has a note of, it says setlist, pictures of you, 2 takes, push, a night like this, at night, Charlotte Sometimes, bass only, and alone. So pretty much the only thing I could assume that's referencing to is the sound check. So maybe they meant to say sound check instead of set list. But okay, so no real clues to anything to come in that sound check, but it seems pretty long for a sound check. So I wonder if they were having issues that night or something. But yeah, pretty cool. And that's all we got, I think, for tour news right now. If anybody has any inside scoop on any of those, drop me an email. If you just want to write anything out, even past shows, even you want to share your stories or experiences, always welcome to send in a clip or just write me an email. I'll read it in one of these updates. And what else we got? Let's just say a big thank you to our Patreon crew. If you're interested in joining the Patreon, go to patreon.com and the Holy Hour on there, and you can see what we have to offer and be part of the family. We would love to have you. You could be along great company like Danny and Namicio and Donna and Craig and Jeff Hilton and Jeff Cortland Jones and Sue and John and Ben, Allison, Alan, Dione, Scott, Lisa, Kate, Matt, Coulter, Dana, Matt Ford, and our newest friend Tom, who we will be talking to in the next episode. I did an Origin Tales with Tom. He's living in Spain right now. He's from the UK, and had lots of great conversation with him. Awesome dude, and totally happy to have him in the Patreon and be part of the official family too. So hopefully have him on again in the future even, because I really enjoyed talking to him, and it's a good one to look forward to coming up next. So thank you so much, you guys out there. Be sure, as far as special shout outs for our Patreon too, Scott at the Sarlacc Digest has an awesome Star Wars podcast, so just go check that out every Wednesday on YouTube at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Lisa says check out DickensYYC.com. It's an awesome venue up in Calgary that's always got cool shows coming in and out, so check out the lineup and the schedule coming up over there. And Matt says go donate some blood with the Red Cross Blood Donor app, because you want to be a good person, don't you? So donate some blood, and that's an easy, cool way to do it. And check out Dana's work at graphics.tv. Graphic is graphics.tv, and she's a motion designer and animator and has a bunch of really cool work over there on her motion graphics reel. You can check it out, and is for hire if you think that this is the kind of brilliance you want to bring to your business or work. Kate's always got cool stuff going on, especially as we head into the holiday season, so you want to check out curethreads.com immediately, as well as 17secondshirts.bigcartel.com. That's Chaz's site where you can pre-order the coolest in cure wear. You might want to just follow him at 17_seconds on Instagram if you're not already following him. That way you can pounce on it as soon as he puts a new pre-order up. All right, that's about it for today. There is a update on Cure Funko Pops are officially up and out for pre-order, it seems. And Roger O'Donnell has a new album out called 7 Different Words for Love. And it's brilliant. I really liked it. It sounds great. And we're going to hopefully talk about that in more detail up ahead. But you guys get an early start on it so you know what we're talking about. Follow us on Instagram at The Holy Hour Podcast, and subscribe on Apple or anywhere you can subscribe to podcasts so you don't miss anything. And check out the Facebook page because we're going to post some links, some House of Harm stuff, and all kinds of goodies over there for this episode. Or just contact me directly at gavinconnor@gmail.com. Let's leave you with a little House of Harm. This is their most recent single, In Threes. Thanks again, Mike. Thank you guys for listening. Talk hard.